Every crime leaves behind a story. Sometimes that story is written in fingerprints, sometimes it's written inside forgotten police files, and sometimes the truth stays silent for years. Welcome to Grey Lantern Studio. I'm your host Triveni, and on this channel, we explore real crimes, mysterious disappearances, and the investigations that changed lives forever. And if you're someone who enjoys carefully researched true crime told through immersive storytelling, you're in the right place. So, before we begin, I'd like to mention that this episode is based on publicly available reports and court records. My intention is to present these cases with respect for the victims, their families, and the facts. Now, let's step into today's episode. So, today's story is called The Silent Grave. Episode 1, The Disappearance of Shakereh Khaleeli. Imagine having everything most people spend their entire lives chasing: a respected family, a luxurious home, a financial security, social status, and a future that seems perfectly normal. Now imagine that one day you simply disappear. No goodbye, no confirmed sighting, no explanation. If someone you loved vanished like that, what would you believe? Would you think they chose to leave, or would you refuse to stop searching? Like, honestly speaking, personally, I would not be able to get over a fact that someone I love or someone close to me has disappeared without informing me. Like, even if they want to have an isolation, I think they would definitely inform their loved ones. But anyway, today's story begins in Bengaluru in 1991. At first glance, this didn't look like a murder investigation. It looked like a missing person case. And that's exactly what makes this case so unsettling. Because sometimes the most dangerous mysteries don't begin with violence, they begin with silence. Shakereh Khaleeli. She belonged to a distinguished family with connections to the former royal family of Mysuru. She was well known in Bangalore's social circle and lived a life of privilege. By all accounts, she was a woman who had built a successful life and was deeply connected to her family. So she had been previously married and she had four daughters. So, like many people, life didn't follow the path she had once imagined. Her first marriage eventually came to an end, and after that, she decided to begin a new chapter. She married Murli Manohar Mishra. So, people who met Murli Manohar Mishra described him in different ways. He seemed too perfect. I mean, he was too good to be true. This reminds me of something personal. Someone advised me that if you feel that someone is too good to be true, then maybe they are too good to be true. So you should always trust your instinct. And I think no human in this earth is perfect. So some saw him as spiritual and intelligent, others would later question his intentions. But at the beginning of the relationship, there was nothing to suggest that this marriage would one day become the center of one of India's most talked about criminal cases. And this is where I want you to remember something. When we hear about famous murder cases, it's easy to fake it's easy to focus only on the crime. But before every crime, there was an ordinary day. There was a family. There were routines. There were plans for tomorrow. Nobody wakes up thinking they're living the opening chapter of a true crime story. So by July 1991, everything changed. Shakereh Khaleeli suddenly disappeared, and when family or when relatives and friends asked Murli like where she exactly is, and everyone he gave a simple explanation. According to him, Shakereh had decided to leave her worldly life behind in search of spirituality. He said that she didn't want anyone to contact her, and to some he told she wants privacy or she wants to live in isolation. So he gave different versions to different people. And at first, that explanation wasn't impossible. Adults can choose to leave. People sometimes walk away from their old lives. And I'm sure we all had such days, or we all have been through such phases where we want to just isolate ourselves. We just want to be left alone. We don't want to talk to anyone. And at the end of the day, investigators had no body. There was no murder weapon, no eyewitnesses, no obvious signs that a crime had taken place. From a legal perspective, there simply wasn't enough evidence to conclude that anything terrible had happened. But families noticed the things that paperwork cannot. Shakereh's daughters found it difficult to accept that their mother would disappear without speaking to them. See, they knew their mom, they knew her habits, and at the end of the day, a mother wouldn't just leave without informing their daughter, right? And there were no phone calls, no verified letters, no confirmed messages. It was just silence. And if you've ever waited for a phone call that never came, you'll know that silence can sometimes feel louder than words. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and months slowly turned into years. The missing person investigation remained open, but there were very few answers. As I was researching this case, one question kept coming back to me. Like, if someone genuinely wanted to disappear forever, would they really leave behind every single person they loved without one final goodbye? Or was there another explanation that no one had considered yet? And sometimes the hardest part of an investigation isn't finding evidence. It's knowing where to look, because the truth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits quietly, patiently, until one small detail changes everything. And in this case, that moment was still to come. So, in our next episode, we'll follow the investigation as police begin taking a closer look at the people closest, I mean, people who were closest to Shakereh, and the first cracks begin to appear in the story everyone had been told. Until then, lock your doors, keep asking questions, and remember, every silence has a story. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.